Stalingrad.
Well, for more on this, we're joined by Shoshana Fine, researcher at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So the jungle has been dismantled completely now, and we're seeing a spike, several hundred people here in Paris. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think really we can see some of the kind of perverse, unintended consequences of the destruction of the jungle. So although Hollande is saying that the 1,000 or so migrants that arrived in Paris during the last week haven't come from Calais, actually a lot of people on the ground, a lot of people working for the associations say they are. So I think really that some of this is actually a direct consequence with what is going on in Calais.
And those people coming to Paris, is their intention to go over to Britain, or are they showing up in Paris because, well, they want to be where there are other people from the same community?
I think really each migrant and refugee has their own story, but obviously it's very difficult to be in Calais right now. The government has closed down the jungle. Migrants and refugees who have chosen to stay in the Calais area, we've seen quite substantial numbers of them being put into detention centres. So we can really see that a lot of people are wanting to stay away, at least for the coming weeks until they come back to Calais, because a lot of them really have dreams to reach England. So I think certainly this would be a relevant story for some of the migrants and refugees in Paris, and others are finding some kind of refuge in these camps there. The associations are providing meal distributions. There is some kind of legal and social assistance in this makeshift camp in Calais, in Stalingrad rather.
That's an important point. The associations providing the meals. There's no national coordination, it seems.
Absolutely not. And actually, when I say associations, a lot of them aren't even official associations, but it's citizens who have become involved, who you can see hundreds and thousands of migrants and refugees as you walk along between Stalingrad and La Chapelle. And I think really citizens have been quite shocked by these images. And as much as we've seen a kind of backlash, a real securitization of immigration, a real rise in populist movements, we can also see really a rise in moments of solidarity. And I was observing some of the volunteers who were giving French courses to these refugees and migrants in these camps, and it's really quite shocking. You can see 1, 2, 3 people stopping by saying, "How can I help?" People really want to get involved.
So you're saying there should be a sort of a national coordinator, and there isn't?
Of course there should be a national coordinator. I don't think that providing food for refugees and asylum seekers, this burden should be put on the population. This is really something that the government should be taking responsibility for.
All right. There's also, this is part of what's confusing, is there seems to be a budding row between the city of Paris with a socialist mayor and the government with a socialist president over the handling of it. The mayor, Anne Hidalgo, complaining about the government waiting for the breaking point to house the refugees and migrants, and also complaining of a heavy-handedness on the part of the riot police who obviously don't answer to the city, but to the state.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think this dodging of responsibility is something we can see at every level. So if it's not the city, municipality who's talking to the government, or if it's not the French government talking to the European countries, or one European country among another, what we can see is a real lack of solidarity. And really, each stakeholder is trying to dodge responsibility for these people. And the response that we can basically see from pretty much all states, from the European Commission, but also from the Paris itself, is a violent response, is a securitized response. It seems to me that this is, in terms of governmentally speaking, it's the only response really we're seeing right now in Europe.
All right, and we know it's the run-up to the presidential election. Candidates for the primaries on the center and right are saying they want to renounce the agreements by which people crossing over to the UK are processed on the French side of the border. What's your reaction to that, and to the fact that the government in the UK has been slow to take in unaccompanied minors?
Yeah, I mean, again, what we can see is a complete lack of solidarity going on here, and I can understand this point of view coming from the French government. I mean, basically, the British are saying that we do not want to take responsibility for refugees. We don't want to show some solidarity in this crisis. And what they've And basically, because we have the border which is controlled between France and the UK, because Britain is not a part of Schengen and the Turkey agreement, then very few refugees are being able to make it to Britain. Those that do make it there are having to take very dangerous channels, helped by smugglers. We've seen an increasing number of deaths in the last year. And all that the only kind of gesture we've really got from the British government is we're going to accept some minors, and even
Which they've started doing.
Which they've started doing. But actually, I mean, there were many minors who've been in Calais for the last year who have been accepted for family reunification. We have proved that they have family links in the UK, but they've still been living in the jungle. You know, why are these people still here? Why are these children still here? We've actually got less than 300 children who've now made it to the UK. I think several hundred more will finally make it over there. But once again, we've got this really whole policy of dissuasion. You know, they're taking very long times. We're blaming it on bureaucracy so that people basically give up. And this is very much the kind of European policy right now. We're going to make life as difficult for you as possible so that you give up. And this is something that we've also seen in Stalingrad today when we had the controls from the CRS. You know, basically for me...
The riot police.
From the riot police. This was basically a message to the migrants to say, you know, give up, move elsewhere, and a message to the French population saying this is a security threat and we're going to manage it in this way.
All right, Shoshana Fine of the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po, many thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
On France 24. Stay with us. There's more to come. We'll have more news.